Dr. Isabelle Fontaine found it at 2:51 a.m., and for a long moment she simply sat with it. The WHO research annex at this hour was exactly the way she liked it. Empty, still, the refrigerated hum of the sample units the only sound. She had been there 6 hours. 11 pharmaceutical companies, 3 government health agencies, a name in a 1947 document that didn't appear in any subsequent public record. Then the Lagos outbreak confirmed it. Then the Borneo suppression. Then the São Paulo deaths. The pattern was not random, not negligence, not inertia. Among the printouts was one she'd set slightly apart, a single figure circled in pencil, not the death count, the inventory count. She smiled, briefly, involuntarily, the smile of someone who has been right about something for 3 years and has finally proved it. She was still deciding who to call when she noticed a message from her brother, asking whether she was coming to dinner on Sunday. She would reply tonight, she decided, after. She was still holding the thought when the elevator chimed. The man who stepped out was tall, dressed in nondescript gray, and moved with the unhurried calm of someone who had never once doubted an outcome. Between 2 gloved fingers, he turned a small coin. Please don't run. It makes the next part so much messier. She ran. She made it 14 steps. He removed the USB drive and placed in its stead a small coin, ancient bronze, a staff, and coiled around it 2 serpents. Not the rod of Asclepius, the other one. The last thing Dr. Isabelle Fontaine heard was the elevator chiming softly as it closed. By morning, the WHO would classify her death as cardiac arrest. Nobody questioned it. Nobody ever did. That was precisely the point. Tom Whitmore's Saturday mornings had a shape to them now, and he had spent 11 months learning to find that shape satisfying rather than insufficient. Coffee first, ground properly, not from a pod, which he considered a form of surrender. Then the garden, a brief circuit of inspection his wife had once teased him about. You're auditing it, Tom. The roses don't need a quarterly review. He still did it. His laptop was already open when his daughter appeared on the screen, Sarah, calling from London on her way out the door.
Are you reading pharma journals on a Saturday? And you're making notes? Dad, it's Saturday.
The maple's turning early. That means a warm September.
Mom's line, you're hopeless, call me later.
A former colleague had sent the journal as a joke. He had opened it intending to be amused. 20 minutes later, he was no longer amused. Program B722, broad-spectrum antiviral. Phase 2, results, strong, regulatory hold, 2003. Status, abandoned. Tom had been at the presentation for B722, Zurich, late autumn. 73% reduction in disease progression. He had voted to progress it. He pulled up his old archive files. He had kept copies of everything, a habit his colleagues found excessive and his retirement had vindicated. The hold memo, the sign-off chain, and at the bottom, a name he recognized. The folder still listed the doses manufactured for the Phase 3 that never ran, in storage since 2003. The number was larger than the cohort it would have treated. Something did not fit. He could feel it the way he always felt such things, not with alarm, but with attention. In the footnotes, which was where the interesting things always were, he found the foundation that had funded the research, the same foundation behind an exhibition of ancient medical artifacts opening that week in Rome. He had booked the flight 4 months ago, out of curiosity. Now he went with a list and a question he intended to answer. Professor Aldous Vane was giving a lecture on the ethics of proportionality in medical disclosure when his phone vibrated against the lectern. He set the phone face down and finished his sentence with the warmth and measured authority that had made him one of the most trusted voices in global pharmaceutical governance. When a young researcher in the front row asked about the Lagos outbreak, 3 trials suspended during the containment, none ever resumed, he gave her the smile he reserved for questions that required deflecting rather than answering.
An excellent question. Let's return to Lagos after the break.
They never did come back to Lagos. He ensured it. The message was from the security team in Geneva. 2 sentences. He read them with the stillness of a man who had been waiting for bad news long enough that its arrival felt almost like a conclusion. He stepped into the corridor and made one call.
Fontaine, tonight use the Geneva protocol. And leave the coin. She earned the acknowledgement.
He put the phone away and straightened his cuffs, a precise, habitual motion, the same one his father had made before every difficult thing. 22 faces turned toward him with the specific quality of attention that very intelligent young people gave to someone they had decided to admire.
Where were we? Proportionality and readiness. Let me give you a thought experiment.
He spoke for another 40 minutes. He was very good. Cole Ryder had been awake for 31 hours when his director of operations told him he was going to Geneva. He did not object. Objecting required energy he was saving for later.
True scientist. Found dead at 3 a.m., classified cardiac. The Swiss were satisfied.
But we're not.
We are rarely satisfied, Ryder. It's practically in the job description.
Dr. Isabelle Fontaine looked back at him from a surveillance photo. Young, sharp-eyed, the kind of person who noticed things other people walked past. She had been one of theirs.
A calling card. Roman. 2nd century. They appear periodically throughout history, always in connection with the deaths of people who knew too much about medicine or money or both.
The second folder held a retired American, 30 years at Galentis Pharma, not an asset, more of a resource.
He's already pulling on the thread from the inside, without knowing what the thread is attached to.
The folder cover read, Whitmore, Thomas A., retired. He was in Rome, a museum opening.
Ryder. Fontaine was good at her job. Whatever she found was enough to kill her quickly and quietly. Don't be charming about it. Be careful.
I'm always careful.
Helena said nothing. She had the ability very senior people have to communicate disagreement without using any words at all. 3 hours later, as his flight banked south over the Alps, Cole read the file on Thomas Whitmore, retired, widowed, 1 daughter, and a mildly inconvenient habit of being right about things nobody wanted him to be right about. Helena's note, handwritten at the bottom. He will have noticed something by the time you arrive. Your job is to find out what before whoever killed Fontaine does. Thomas Whitmore had learned long ago that the best way to think clearly was to stand in front of something very old and very beautiful and let it do the talking. He had come to the Museo Nazionale with a list in his breast pocket, 6 specific artifacts, 3 galleries, 1 question he intended to answer. The first thing he noticed, the display case had been moved since the catalog was printed. The second, the placard's catalog number broke the museum's own format, RNM, a year, a dash where a digit should be. The third, the provenance read only private collection donated, no donor, no chain. Major museums did not display objects that way. And the fourth thing was the coin itself. At the coin's edge, pressed into the bronze with a precision no ancient technique achieved, a sequence of digits and letters. B7, program B7, the antiviral. 22, his regional director code, WE, Western Europe, 03, the year the program was killed. This was not a coincidence. Someone had planted that coin, someone who knew his code.
Mr. Whitmore.
The man beside him was perhaps 40, lean and composed, in a jacket that fit him with a precision jackets did not achieve for ordinary people. I don't believe we've met. Which means either you work for the museum, or you've done your homework on a retired pharmaceutical executive. Either impressive or alarming.
Cole Ryder. I work for the British government.
Tom told him about the edge stamp, the broken catalog number, the wrong patina. He mentioned the 2 other coins in 2 other galleries, the same relocated cases, the same broken placards. He had a feeling the full code was split across all 3. Cole looked at him for a moment with the expression of a man revising an assessment he'd made earlier. Then we should find somewhere private to talk, Tom said.
After you?
The restricted archive smelled of cold stone and old paper. Tom read the loan logs quickly. 3 coins placed privately within 10 days. In gallery order, they gave 3 program codes, 3 regions, 3 years. Not a message to him, a catalog. His own code was only one of 3. He turned the coin under the light, then called for the loop. A thumbnail at one precise point, and the rim moved. It came away. A thin bronze sleeve, machined to hide what lay beneath. Micro-engraved Greek, and beneath it a server path. Galentis Internal Archive, a 2,000-year-old coin carrying a file location. The Greek was Hippocratic. First, do no harm. Whoever made this coin was making a point.
Down.
Then the lights went out, not flickered, off completely, deliberately. A thin red strip lit the floor. At the far end, the fire exit breathed open. A figure along the shelving, fast, silent, reaching for the coin. Cole crossed the room. An elbow, a lunge, folders down, all blood and shadow. Then an arm across the throat, and the man sank. Cole crouched, listening for a second. None came. Tom was already reseating the rim, calm as a man shelving a library book.
Next time, somewhere with electricity and fewer exits.
Not the Brotherhood, a courier.
Who sent you?
The young man gave a name and went. In the service tunnel, Tom read the logs by torchlight, one guarantor on every loan request, the same name. I know him, Tom said. Cole stopped walking and read it. Come on, I'll explain in the taxi. The encrypted message came at 8. Tom read it twice. Midnight, the old hospital. Bring the man who reads the coins. Say the word alexipharmic. Alexipharmic, Tom said. Ancient Greek. A universal antidote. That which repels poison. Galen Dioscorides. Whoever sent it knew their ancient pharmacology, and knew that he would too. The island at midnight was another country. The city's noise gone, just the dark rush of the Tiber on both sides, and old lamps turning everything amber. She was waiting in the cloister. A woman, 50, close-cropped silver hair. Alexipharmic, Tom said.
The universal remedy is not a substance. It is knowledge, properly timed, but you knew that.
She had placed the coins herself, used his code because she remembered his vote.
Dr. Mara Conti. I worked inside it for more than a decade. I watched them kill the trial, and I spent 22 years making certain I could prove it.
She set down a slim hard drive, 6 years of proof, Vane's authorizations, the names, the location of the repository. Movement in the shadow of the arch. Cole's hand went to his jacket. A long moment, then nothing. 40 feet off, a man 23 years with the Brotherhood lowered his phone.
They have the drive. They know about Istanbul.
Then he crossed the old bridge and was gone.
4 minutes before he reports in. The essentials?
The antidote was real. Vane making it beneath an Istanbul clinic almost finished to unveil at the United Nations and trade access for control.
4 days. Vane arrives in 4 days.
Then you're coming with us, Tom said. She looked at the black water.
I've had my bag packed for 6 weeks.
Istanbul hit Tom the way great cities always did. Not gradually, but all at once, like a door flung open onto noise and light and the smell of the sea mixed improbably with diesel and cardamom. Cole moved them through customs with the ease of a man who had done it in 20 countries. In the taxi north toward Beyoğlu, the city unspooled in the early morning gold. The bridges over the Golden Horn, the fishermen already lining the Galata rail with a patience that predated the city's name, the mosques and glass towers in their uneasy coexistence, the steep streets climbing away from the water.
The Meridian Private Medical Clinic, 12 floors above ground, 3 below, sub-level 3, the repository. 312 therapies for cancers, neurological conditions, infectious diseases killing about 4 million people a year in a basement in Istanbul.
Tom ran the proportions in his head, the way he always had. Western Europe, 2003. His territory, 47,000, roughly, in his region alone, in the year the hold was applied. He thought of Dr. Katrin Muller in Zurich, dropping her laser pointer twice. He held that. At the safe house, the plan.
Sub-level 3 needs 2 biometric holders at once. Enter alone and the repository wipes itself. A dead man's switch.
They needed a second. Heinrich Brandt, chairman of the European regulator, second in the Brotherhood, and grandfather to a girl with the very condition the buried trial would have treated. He doesn't know.
We need a second holder. Brandt.
In 30 years, the phrase "concerns you personally" has never once failed to get a man on an airplane. Professor Heinrich Brandt arrived at 11 in the morning looking like a man who had not slept.
I am here because you said it was personal. I want to be clear that is the only reason.
Come in, Heinrich. There's coffee. You're going to want it. Tom laid the documents in a specific order. The 2003 trial data first, then the suppression memo with the sign-off chain, then the family medical records. He said nothing while Brandt read.
I signed the regulatory hold. The reasons were documented. Long-term efficacy data was insufficient.
The efficacy data was strong, 73%.
I reviewed the files I was given. If the documentation was manipulated, I was used. But I was not complicit.
Read the rest of the file. Take your time. He read the family records last, very slowly, the stillness of a body that has received news it has not yet processed.
She's 11 now. I didn't know.
No, you didn't. That was the point. There is something you need to know. The biometric authentication is logged. A second holder confirmation will appear in the Brotherhood system within 48 hours. They will know it was you. Whatever protection your position provides, you lose it. I'm not asking you to do this without knowing that. A long silence. The Istanbul morning moved around the apartment, indifferent and full.
I have been protecting my position for 20 years, and she is 11 years old. What do you need me to do?
Vane came down before the guests, the way he always had. 312 entries in the repository. Tonight he read one, Program 7A, Pediatric Oncology, 67% remission, killed in 1998 after a boy of 11 died in a European trial. The Brotherhood held it. It was never resumed.
The risk of a rollout we could not supervise outweighed the cost of delay. I believed that then. I believe it now.
You look uncomfortable.
I look exactly like a retired pharmaceutical executive at an industry dinner. You look like a Swiss donor 2 inches too fit for his dinner jacket. Try to slouch. Tom had worn the suit to 3 industry dinners and one very difficult board meeting that had gone well. He considered it reliable. Cole did not slouch. Conti had been inside since 5, on a badge Brandt arranged. Brandt himself was at the dinner, legitimately, making small talk with a Finnish regulator, while under the table, running the authentication sequence. Vane's speech was magnificent. 40 minutes on the ethics of responsible stewardship, transparent, warm, deeply reasoned. He called the ethics board a bulwark against premature disclosure, to sustained applause from a room that had no idea the man at the lectern had spent 31 years being the bulwark's lock.
We leave markers for the worthy. Most walk past.
Only Tom appeared to notice. He wrote it in the margin of his program. At 9:15 his phone buzzed. He excused himself, taking a call, the universal social exit, and walked, unhurried, to the service corridor. The consultant badge opened the service lift with a chime louder than it had any right to be. 60 seconds for the relay to install. He counted them.
Vane's moving toward the east wing. 2 minutes. He's moving faster.
He pulled the module at 58 seconds, 2 seconds early. He hoped it was enough. He was seated before dessert. A woman 3 tables away, late 50s, silver earrings, the clean bearing of a Swiss regulatory veteran, caught his face, and he saw the recognition lock before she could mask it. He held her gaze 1 beat, gave the small professional nod of a man who is occupied, and looked back at his dessert.
You were recognized.
Possibly.
That usually means yes.
Then yes. 1 floor below, at the same moment, Vane read the access log. A visiting consultant badge, used at 9:17, gone by 9:19. Dr. Andreas Weiss, documentation review. There was no Dr. Andreas Weiss on the register.
I'll go to the sub-levels tonight, now, and find out who was in this corridor.
A failsafe is meant to protect. The Brotherhood's switch protected the Brotherhood. Those are not the same thing. They had 4 people and a plan that had just become more complicated. Vane knew someone had been in the corridor. He was moving faster, and Tom had pulled the relay 2 seconds early, which Conti warned might make the distribution stall. 10 o'clock. Cole through the service entrance, Tom on the administrative level, Conti and Brandt down through the steel door, the retinal scanner, 4 seconds, green, the repository opened, server towers, indicator lights, drives spinning, the most ordinary container for something extraordinary. Brandt stood in the doorway, then walked in with the tread of a man carrying something he had only now understood the weight of. Conti was at the terminal in 8 seconds. Tom watched the distribution begin. 312 therapies, routing to 140 institutions. 40, 50, 60. It stalled at 61. Manual override required. The code lived on the master terminal in Vane's office, and Vane had gone to the sub-levels. Tom thought about patient number 23. Then he walked to the stairwell. Ground floor, east wing. Vane's office was not empty. Vane stood at the window over the Bosphorus, simply standing, the most unsettling thing Tom had seen all evening. Professor Vane, I thought you'd gone to the sublevels.
Mr. Whitmore, I wondered when you'd come.
The relay has been running 11 minutes. 61% of your repository is already gone to 140 institutions. Call Serac and you lose the rest. And I don't think even you want to destroy what's in that basement. You built it to be used.
I'll call Serac. You don't understand what I've built. The world is not ready for this knowledge freely distributed. You don't understand what I built. The world is not ready for this knowledge freely distributed, without control, without guidance.
Without you. You turned suffering into a waiting room and appointed yourself the receptionist. For 31 years, you decided how many people could keep waiting. There is no order worth that cost. No vision. No 2,000-year legacy. Not even yours. 70, 80, 90. Something moved across Vane's face. Not panic. The expression of a man who has spent 31 years certain of his own correctness, meeting the full weight of what that certainty had cost. He watched it run to 100 and said nothing at all. Tom sent the evidence, 6 newsrooms, 2 prosecutors, and walked to the door. I don't doubt you believed in it. That's the most frightening thing about you. Somewhere above, in the warm Istanbul night, a phone was ringing in a newsroom in London, and then Berlin, and then New York, one after another, like lights coming on across a dark city. In medicine, the moment a suppressed treatment enters the public record is called a disclosure event. What follows is rarely dramatic. It is slower and more profound. Researchers working in parallel suddenly find the missing piece. It accumulates patient by patient in hospitals that will never know the name of the person who made it possible. Tom Whitmore sat on the balcony with a coffee and his jacket around his shoulders. The first call came from London at 6:44. He did not answer it. He watched the city wake instead. Cole appeared with his own coffee and the quiet manner of a man between obligations. They sat in silence for a while.
Vane is in custody. Turkish authorities, Europol observers. The prosecutor confirmed the evidence at 2:17. 12 outer ring members identified. 6 already cooperating.
Brandt?
Full voluntary statement at 3 a.m. One of the most precise disclosures she'd seen in 20 years. And 3 institutions have already contacted the Fontaine Archive. They want to finish the alexipharmic properly. With oversight, Conti seemed relieved.
There was a chip on the rim of his cup. Small, clean-edged, the kind of thing that happens in a shared kitchen when no one is paying attention. He turned the cup so the chip faced away, as if that settled something. His wife had done the same with a bowl at home. A yellow bowl with a hairline crack she refused to throw away. She'd had it since university. She kept it at the back of the shelf. Chip turned in. The bowl was still there. The city moved around him. Istanbul, waking up, indifferent to what had happened in its basements the night before. Not uncaring, just larger than any particular night. His daughter called at 8:15. A Sunday call, 3 days early.
Dad, I've just seen the news. Are you in Istanbul?
I am, yes. It's a very beautiful city. You should visit.
Was it you?
I helped. I wasn't alone. But I was useful. I knew the numbers.
The book club is not going to believe this.
Your mother would have found the whole thing either thrilling or completely unacceptable.
Both. She'd have found it both.
Dad, I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sweetheart. I'll call when I know my flight.
Next time you dismantle a secret society, could you give me some notice?
I'll put it in the diary, right between the book club and the cooking class. She laughed, this specific laugh the best sound he knew, until it faded and the line went quiet. The dismantling of a long-running covert organization is, in practice, considerably less dramatic than its exposure. It involves lawyers, prosecutors, asset freezes, the painstaking reconstruction of financial trails, and an enormous quantity of secure document transfers. 3 weeks after Istanbul, the work had moved to a glass office above the Thames.
41 pages.
It was a complicated operation.
It was an unauthorized operation. The ICC has filed charges against 14 individuals. The Prime Minister asked me personally who was responsible.
What did you tell him?
I told him it was a collaborative effort. Whitmore's consultancy agreement is being processed. Grade 4 clearance. He's already submitted 2 observations on the ICC evidence package our own analysts missed. He has the particular quality of attention that comes from genuinely not caring about being impressive. It's rarer than it should be. There is one complication. Our analysts believe there are inner circle members we have not identified. People careful enough to stay outside Conti's documentation. The Brotherhood built itself to survive the fall of empires. It may survive this. When you're ready.
The file inside was Athens.
An unidentified affiliate. Known alias, the archivist. 40 minutes in the Acropolis Museum's Acquisition Records Office. One anomaly. An authorization dated 1961, carrying a regional identifier from the network that would become Galentis.
The code on the Rome coins was already in the Athens records from 1961, 20 years before Galentis adopted that system, nearly 30 years before Whitmore was assigned it.
Someone was using that code before the company existed that would eventually assign it. The Brotherhood infiltrated the precursor organizations earlier than we believed. And someone in Athens knows it. One other item. The Tiber Island. Our observer, the man who watched you and reported that night. He's gone. We have the call record, not the name. Still active. Somewhere in the outer ring.
He had the chance to intervene on the island and didn't.
Which tells us something about him. I'm not yet certain what.
Then we keep looking.
Will you be needing Mr. Whitmore?
I'll ask him. He may have book club.
Helena Cross picked up her pencil and wrote 2 words in the margin of a 41-page deposition. In the age of encrypted messaging, the handwritten letter has become, paradoxically, one of the most private forms of communication left. It cannot be intercepted by software. It leaves no metadata. The first letter arrived at his house in Philadelphia on a Tuesday morning. Berlin postmark, handwriting of great precision.
Dear Tom, I have been advised by my legal counsel not to write to anyone involved in the Istanbul matter. I have decided to disregard this advice in your case. My daughter has been contacted by the Fontaine Archive team. They shared the 2003 trial data with her. She understood what it meant. She is determined. I wanted to tell you that I have thought a great deal about what you said in the kitchen, about what 4 million means in human terms. I had kept it as a number for 20 years. You gave it its weight back. I hope the book club is stimulating. H. Brandt.
He read it standing at the kitchen counter. Then he folded it and put it in the drawer where he kept things worth keeping. The second letter came from Rome, Mara Conti, on paper that smelled of research facilities. He read it at the kitchen table in the early evening with a glass of wine.
Tom, the first Fontaine Protocol trial cohort has been selected. 40 patients. The early markers are exactly what the 2003 data predicted. I am back at work. Real work. Work that goes forward instead of being buried. I think I had forgotten what it felt like. I have been thinking about something you said in Rome, that everyone has something they care about more than the organisation they serve. I spent 6 years finding ways to believe that was not true of me. Isabelle Fontaine's death made it impossible to keep believing that. Thank you for seeing what I was doing and for not saying so out loud. Mara.
40 patients. The number caught him, and he found himself thinking absurdly of patient 23. Whoever she was, wherever she was now, he sat with the letter for a long time before he replied. The third communication was a text from London.
Athens. Brotherhood Affiliate, the archivist. Acquisition records, Acropolis Museum. Your code in a 1961 document, nearly 30 years before you had it. They're waiting, and Helena wants the ICC casework closed before anyone travels. The archivist isn't going anywhere. Your call, CR.
He put his phone down and looked at the garden in the October light. He thought about a code from 1961 that had waited 60 years for the right person to read it. He thought about the maple, his wife's maple, gone entirely to flame. He picked up his phone. Then I go when the casework is done. I'll need a decent hotel, time to see the museum properly, and I want to know everything about that 1961 document before we land. Cole's reply came in 30 seconds.
Done. Helena says grade 4 covers the minibar. CR.
He read this and found, for the second time in 3 weeks, that he was smiling without having decided to. The ancient Greeks had 2 words for time: chronos, sequential, measurable, the kind that runs out, and kairos, the right moment, the instant in which something that has been waiting finally becomes possible. Hippocrates used kairos for the moment when a treatment and a patient were ready for each other. Medicine as the art of recognizing that moment and not letting it pass. The package arrived on a Sunday, a padded envelope, Rome postmark, Conti's name in the return address.
Tom, the journal publishes in 3 weeks. I wanted you to have it first. Read to the end. M.
The document inside, Phase 3 clinical results for the Fontaine Protocol. The Lancet, lead author Dr. M. Conti, a 40-patient cohort at 12-month follow-up. He read it slowly. 38 of 40 patients showed halted or reversed progression. The data did not suggest a cure. It suggested something rarer, a genuine, replicable, substantial change in what was possible. Tucked between the last page and the back cover, a folded piece of plain notepaper in a hand he didn't recognize.
I don't know who to write to, so I'm writing to the Institute and asking them to pass this on. I was patient number 23 in the trial. I have had this condition for 9 years. I was told 4 years ago that there was nothing further to be done, and I believed them because they were doctors. And I trusted them, and also because I was tired. I'm not tired anymore. I don't know what happened to make this treatment available when it wasn't before. I have read some things in the news, but I don't understand all of it. What I understand is that someone did something difficult to make this possible, and I want them to know that I am aware of that. I want them to know that I have a daughter who is 7, and that I intend to be there when she is 17 and 27, and that this was not something I believed 4 years ago, that I was allowed to hope for. I'm hoping for it now. Thank you. I don't have a better word than that, but I mean it with everything I have.
He set it down with the deliberateness of placing something fragile somewhere safe. He took off his glasses. He looked out at the maple, his wife's maple, gone entirely to flame. Patient number 23, out of 40, out of 4 million. Sarah called at 11.
How are you?
Very well. Actually, very well. Something arrived in the post. Unexpectedly, profoundly good. Are you free next weekend?
For you? Always. Dad, Cole emailed me. He said there's a situation in Athens. What is grade 4?
It means the minibar is covered.
You're going to go, aren't you?
There's a person in Athens who's been waiting at the museum. Things that wait to be found are generally waiting for the right person. I'd like to be that person.
Come for the weekend first. I'll make dinner.
I'll bring wine.
Dad, she'd be so pleased with you.
I know. I think about that. He went to the drawer and tucked patient number 23's letter alongside Brandt's, alongside Conti's, alongside a photograph of his wife from Florence. He closed the drawer. That afternoon, he made a grocery list for Sarah's visit. Then he placed his passport beside it on the counter. One list for the life he had built, one document for the life that had found him. Both, he thought, mattered. He had been 63, retired 11 months when the world came looking. He was still looking, a man whose lifetime of expertise had turned out not to be finished with him. In the ancient world, the Caduceus was the staff of Hermes, god of messages, of crossings, of the space between one place and another, a symbol not of healing but of passage, of the moment when one thing ended and something else, not yet named, began. Patient number 23 had a daughter who was 7 years old. She intended to be there when she was 17 and 27 and beyond. That was the thing about passages. You had to go through them to find out where they led. The envelope was on her desk that morning. No postmark, her name in careful capitals. Inside, a 1961 slip she had filed herself. On it, in pencil, one word in ancient Greek, alexipharmic. If it was an invitation, she had waited 30 years for it. She put the kettle on a second time and got out 3 cups. Athens in October had a quality of afternoon even in the morning. Tom noticed it. Tom noticed most things.
You've been here before?
Twice. I barely left the hotel. I meant to come back properly. Brandt had arranged the clearance, a badge with a photograph that didn't resemble him. She had been expecting them. The folder was already centered on the desk.
A 1961 document is on the desk. I thought you'd prefer to read it without preamble.
A typed page dated April 1961 in the guarantor field, his own 1988 regional code. Galentis was founded in 1978. I was assigned this code in 1988. This document is from 1961.
Galentis inherited its coding system. The protocols were standardized across European pharmaceutical distribution in the 1950s by a firm that no longer exists, a Brotherhood subsidiary.
They didn't infiltrate the companies. They built the framework and let the companies grow into it.
The codes predate the companies. You were assigned a code in 1988 that had been waiting in the system for whoever would eventually hold that position. In 2009, they invited me to join. Awe appeared to consider it for 4 months and did nothing, which they interpreted as caution and I intended as refusal.
She led them to the glass floor.
In 1946, they moved suppressed pre-war research beneath this site. They believed it would be built over and inaccessible for decades. They were correct about 2 of those 3 things.
She opened a second folder. 12 researchers in 8 countries.
They have each independently found something that doesn't fit. They don't know each other. They don't know about the Brotherhood. They are simply people who noticed something and could not let it go.
They need someone to tell them they're looking at the right thing. At the door, a photograph. Outer ring. She died in 2011, but she had a daughter.
Third name from the top, Berlin. She has her mother's eye for things that don't fit. She doesn't know what her mother was. She only knows what she herself has noticed.
Dr. Papadakis, thank you for waiting. Someone would reach the daughter in Berlin first, someone who had been in the same position. The doors opened onto the main gallery, where the morning's first visitors were already moving between the ancient objects, looking at things that had survived 2,000 years of being handled and broken and lost and found. Tom stepped out and walked toward the light.